Let's move away from the quarterback class, the 2022 quarterback class on that note, and let's look at some other positions here on the Football Outsiders 33rd Team Sports Info Solutions Draft or Pass Show. And Matt, this question is come to you first. Treylon Burks looked like Deebo Samuel on film, but his testing numbers don't necessarily add up. You are looking for a go-to number one wide receiver in the first round of this class. Treylon Burks is on the board. Draft or pass, Matt Manocherian.
Draft, emphatically. Treylon Burks, so when we're talking about this player, you mentioned Deebo Samuel, and I love that comparison because you actually see him used in similar ways where he'll be in the backfield, he'll be lined up tight, slot wide, used all over the place. We don't see that there's a blue chip receiver in this class, a true, steps on the field, Jamar Chase Pro Bowler, but he's a true number one based on our grading scale. And I think in terms of the way you can use him, it's exactly that sort of outlook. He's a great hands guy, a great run after the catch guy. He is not a separation and route runner. So you see the slow combine testing times, stuff like that. It's really in one year and out the other for me because this isn't a player that you saw on film and you thought he's going to be 4.3. So it's not like you go to the combine and you're shocked by it. This is a big physical dude who's difficult to bring down in the open field. His best trait is his contested catch ability. When he's covered, he's uncovered. This is a guy who produced in Arkansas in their offense, which is impressive for any receiver to say. The jet sweeps and the end around usage, you see it on film. I think that projects to be used on the NFL level right away. And then I think some of it is going to have to be patient in terms of asking him to do everything isn't going to be the idea. He's on the lower end of the stats in terms of deep percentage. What percentage of the routes that he ran were 7, 8, or 9 routes? Lower percentage of his routes there, and also lower in unique routes, which I think is a reflection of the RPO Arkansas offense and some of the kind of boring stuff that they do there. So you might need a little bit more development there, but number 2 in yak per reception, number 1 in total points rating, tied with the 99 sort of Madden rating based on our stats on his production. So I love this player. There are 8 receivers that I think are starting level receivers, 1s or 2s in this draft, but he's at the top of our board.
He's at the top of playmaker score also, I'll point out. I mean, he was the number 1 playmaker score, in part because, like you said, in that Arkansas offense, for a wide receiver to have 1,100 receiving yards is a big deal because they only passed the ball 294 times. And the fact is, guys who get used as jet sweep guys and have a lot of rushing yards in college usually turn out pretty well in the NFL because that shows their abilities. They're just being used differently in college because there are plays that are there in college that aren't necessarily there in the NFL. That being said, I understand that he's definitely not one of those route stretcher outside number 1s. If you had the first pick for a wide receiver and you want a route stretcher outside number 1, I would go with Wilson or Olave over this. But, I mean, he's going to be a useful, valuable player in the NFL.
Yeah, I think I see this one a little bit different, guys. I do see him a little bit more of that Drake London, Mike Evans mold. I don't think those are the players now. And despite Mike Evans having the success he's had, I just think the way our game is being played, you need a premium on speed. And there's a lot to like about Burks. Ironically, the Samuel comparison, that's where Deebo went in the second round. I just put these Garrett Wilson, certainly a healthy Jameson Williams, Olave, Jahan Dotson, that group of guys ahead of Burks. And again, taking nothing away from his physicality and what he can do. I appreciate what you guys said. I've worked with too many defensive coaches in my career to hear them just constantly talk about speed is what keeps them up at night. Speed is what they worry about. Right. And while the Deebo Samuels are obviously great players and can help you win multiple games, I would prioritize speed and playmaking ability over a bigger guy like Burks or London.